Hey everyone, I am going to get this thing started and we are going to go live with Allie. She is a run coach and I'm going to try and find her. I have invited her. Hey Lauren. So I am inviting Coach Allie to come join us and be my co-host, and I'm excited to get her in here. Hi everyone that's coming in. Just waiting on Allie to show up. So we're going to talk all about mental health and nutrition and running, and I'm excited to talk to everyone. So here's Allie. We're going to invite her. Hey Debbie, how's it going? All right. We've got such an important topic to go today, and I'm really excited to do it with everyone. And Allie, I don't know what's going on. I have hit accept, and it's not letting me accept it for some reason. So I'm going to invite you as well. So let's see what's happening. I'm trying to get this going. Thanks for everyone for being patient. So like I said, running, mental health, nutrition, really want this to be interactive. So if anyone has any questions about anything, please drop them in the comments, in the chat. Definitely want to hear what everyone has to say about it. And if there's any topics you want us to talk about, that's possible too. Hey Jose. Okay, Allie, if you're there, we go.
We got it. We got it.
I was like, I keep hitting accept. I don't know what's happening.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That happens sometimes. It just happens.
It's just technology.
Yes. Technology. Gotta love it.
Gotta love it and hate it. So
Yes.
got people coming in, which is awesome. Like I said, we were talking all about running, mental health, nutrition. Did you know it's Mental Health Awareness Month?
I did actually. Yes. And what better time to be talking about this?
I know. And we kind of talked about this very briefly in the last time we went live, like over a month ago now. And
yeah. Exciting.
We just kind of we're like, oh my gosh, we need to do a whole live on this topic because they play so much together. Like they can really complement each other, but then things can sometimes not go so well. So we wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit.
Yes. And, our minds can play wonderful games on us. And it's hard to combat those things, those negative thoughts when they do arise. And so, Jackie, do you want to begin by kind of, I guess, starting the conversation?
All right. Well, just first, I guess, welcome everyone. If you don't know me, I am Jackie. I am a dietitian. I work with runners and endurance athletes, and I really want to help runners fuel their best so they feel good on the run and in their body, and just run strong, run fast, feel good doing it. Yeah, so that's kind of my very brief intro.
I love that intro. I also love the Legally Blonde quote here. That is one of my favorite movies. Reese Witherspoon's freaking amazing.
Oh, yes.
And it's so true.
Don't kill their husband. That's true.
They just don't. That'd be a good TikTok. So that was a great intro, Jackie. Hi, I'm Coach Allie. I coach runners worldwide, predominantly distance runners and runners who are either looking to run a first-time marathon or qualify for Boston. That's the majority of my clientele. And I like to run myself. I'm also speaking about running technique at the Run Show USA. If anyone's going to be in Chicago, June 5th, come over to the Des Convention Center because it's going to be amazing and it's free if you just say my name at the door.
Awesome. All right. I didn't know that, but that's super exciting. I will not be in the area at that time, but I don't live far from Chicago. I'll be in Minnesota that weekend.
Oh man, you're gonna
Yeah.
miss a whole presentation on foot strike.
Oh, well, but strike aside, we wanted to kind of, yeah, dive into this. Allie and I, you and I have talked about before, both of us really enjoy running, obviously, but one of the benefits that it provides most both of us is that it helps our mood. It helps us combat some of our anxieties and helps us clear our head. So, in many ways, it's really good for our mental health, right? Like Debbie said, exercise produces endorphins, and endorphins make you happy, and happy people just don't kill their husbands.
They
So
don't. They just,
they, but
it's true.
there is this kind of fine line sometimes that, I've even been there myself, where sometimes running almost becomes like a chore, or it becomes something that you have to do, or it becomes something where you're not really getting the enjoyment or the mental benefit from it anymore, especially if you put a lot of pressure on yourself to perform a certain way or go a certain distance, or maybe you have a race looming over you and there's all this pressure usually that you put on yourself to, um, you know, finish the way you envision you want to finish. So, um, as a run coach, have you ever come across athletes that maybe aren't getting the mental benefits of running and maybe actually are seeing maybe some harmful effects of running? And what would you say to them?
Yeah, all the time. This is why customization is so important as well, because I look at runners as people first, and everyone has a different story and different things going on. So, if someone comes to me and says, I ran 3 miles and that was easy, I could do a lot more, and, they're training for a marathon, that might be a good thing to shed, some light on that. And that's not, a bad thing, but more should not necessarily be done that day. Now, if someone comes to me, and this has happened, and said, I bombed this workout. I didn't have it mentally. I just couldn't stick with it. Um, I asked them, what else is going on? How'd you sleep?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you eat the night before? Is anything stressing you out outside of the running? Let's start there. And
Mm-hmm.
then I dive into, okay, like, let's look at the splits. Let's look at the running and try to take away something positive out of every single thing that we talk about, because I'm a very big optimist, and I like to always find the wins, even if it's a bombed workout. The fact that someone got out there on their 2 feet and laced up their shoes and got out the door, that's a win.
Yeah.
So just really helping to guide someone through that process, and mentally kind of positioning the workout differently. And just, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That kind of comes to mind when I'm saying this. I try to just convey that to my runners when these types of things happen.
So like
Yeah.
you kind of maybe tweak their focus a little bit or change their mindset around it to like, hey, like maybe this didn't go, this did, and let's focus on that. Yeah.
Yeah, like a magician. I'm just kidding. Yeah, just help
Mindset's
them to,
powerful.
yeah, minds are so powerful, and they could honestly make or break our runs. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm sure firsthand, maybe.
Absolutely. Had runs that did not go so well, and it's like if I get caught up in my head about it, it's just like that. It's like a snowball and just keeps rolling and getting bigger, and there's more and more snow on it. Like it's very hard to overcome in that moment. So you're right. Like our minds are super powerful. I mean, and I could be totally fine physically, but I'm sure many of us have been in that spot, especially if the workout's hard. What would you say too if someone say had a bad workout, um, and then they let that fester? Maybe they able to switch their mindset or focus on the wins, and then that turns into more and more bad workouts. Because like you said, minds are really powerful. So what if, like that just kind of breeds more bad workouts? As a coach, how would you approach that?
So the question is, wait, so what's the question again? Just so I
Sorry. So like,
answer it the way you want.
right, and like they weren't able to switch their mindset, and then that kind of turned into more like repeated bad workouts. So it's like maybe several weeks or even a couple months where in there's mental slump. And it's not so much like a physical thing that's happening, but more of a mental thing where they just keep
Hmm.
their own head, and that's just breeding more bad workouts.
Definitely. Okay, I'm very big on this. There should always be a joy in running. If you're not paid to do it, especially, like, yes, you should enjoy what you're doing. There should be challenging workouts that aren't so fun, quote unquote. But this happens all the time with, a lot of my runners, especially when they're in, the heavy trenches of marathon training. It's really hard to stay motivated and uppy and giddy all the time. And that's just not realistic. No. So when that happens and, it's workout after workout after workout, I first try to say, let's ditch the clock, let's ditch the watch. Let's actually spend a week just going running based off feel. Get out, get up, get the time spent on your feet. Enjoy your surroundings and think about the fact that you get to run. You're paying to run a race. Like when we were in whatever middle school, right? We had to run a mile for
Right.
time, and all of us didn't want to do it. And now we pay for races. So the opportunity there is just like thinking about, I'm paying for this race. I'm able to physically take one step at a time. I have a strong body. I won't be able to do this in several years. And just focusing on the present moment, literally one step at a time. And just like thinking about all the reasons why it's like just nice to move your body afterwards and journaling those out.
Yeah.
Um, I ask everyone to do that for like a week, if not forever, because then you have something to look back at when you're feeling not motivated.
I love that. And I think you're right. Like you need to just remind yourself why you do it, be in the present moment, and go back to the things that make it fun for you or made it fun for you in the beginning, and like remind yourself of that. And sometimes that does require taking out the expectations, and it might mean like throwing off the watch and like like turning off Strava for a moment, like you know uninstall it from your phone or something if you're caught up in a comparison trap to this person or that person, because that can really affect you mentally. um,
Yeah. And
many
just
of
like remembering, like making people say like why they run. Like, why are you running? Are you running to show all of Strava that you ran today? Or are you running because it makes you feel good? It makes you feel like you're mentally, clear. You're able to be productive. It carries over to other aspects of your life. Are you running for yourself? Like, what
Yeah.
is your why? And just bringing someone back to that. My coach does it all the time to me. And, I found that it's really easy to get caught up in our own heads sometimes.
So easy. A lot of people that I work with tell me that at the end of the day, they just really enjoy running and the process of it. And it's something they want to be able to continue to do and to continue to enjoy doing for many
Yeah.
to come. And yeah, there might be some distance goals or some time goals. Um, but, at the end of the day, they want to be healthy enough physically and mentally, to just be able to like fully enjoy that process. Um, because yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, most of us are paying to do this, like no
Yeah. It's like funny, but it's,
heck to like clock a certain number of miles every week or just hit a certain pace.
yeah,
So
and even though we're paying to do it, like a race doesn't mean like a race is a great opportunity to immerse yourself with other runners that love doing the same thing you're doing. So, like, I've run a race before. I've run several, not for PRs. I'm sure you have, and anyone on here. And those are fulfilling in another way because you're doing what you love and you're not pushing your limits, but it's just a different kind of race. And
mhm.
I've actually suggested that to several runners that ran a half marathon in Brooklyn a few weeks ago because there's a huge one coming up on Saturday. If anyone's in Brooklyn running the RBC half marathon, it's like the biggest half marathon all year in Brooklyn. And it's a big PR course, but you can't always PR. So it's just kind of like positioning, your why and, having, you know, like a reason behind each run. It doesn't always have to be like pushing the pace, like you said.
Right. Yeah. From, just a person, just to put this, to bring a personal story into this. I just ran Boston, I think it's 4 weeks ago now. And really
Yeah.
it was just to have as much fun as possible. Like I just wanted to cross the finish line feeling happy and proud, and I didn't want to worry about time in that race. I just wanted to have fun. And I have to say, like, it was such an enjoyable experience. Like I didn't have any music. I ran with people. Like I took in the crowds. Like I smiled. Like you don't have to do that in a marathon. It could be a 5K. It could be just on your run by yourself, and you could just like take it all in and be like, oh, look at the, beautiful sunrise or sunset, or like waving at other runners. I don't know, whatever it is that makes you enjoy it and bring you joy. But yeah, like bring it back to basics.
Yeah, I love your everything, your content and all of your stories look just like so like just it was energy. I was like getting so much energy. You looked so happy, and congrats again on that race. That was must have felt really good to run that after an injury.
It did. It did. It also felt really good to run it and um, feel like a sense of pride. It definitely wasn't my fastest by far, and yet I've finished like really strong races in the past, and then just been like not felt good mentally about it. So I think the way we approach these things mentally makes such a huge difference, which is again why we wanted to talk about this topic.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, you could tackle a distance, you could get a PR, and if you're beating yourself up about it or you didn't enjoy the process, it's not gonna solve anything. You're not gonna cross the finish line after a PR and all of a sudden feel great about yourself and love every minute. If you like, how is that even possible? If you hated the whole race, you cross the finish line, you're not going to be like, wow, that was fun. Like you have to like find joy in the process.
Yeah, staying present, just I feel like that's the great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm here.
Yeah, just staying present is do you have any other suggestions too? I mean, you're still a coach, right? Yeah.
I'm
Even though
a,
you're also a dietitian, I mean, you coach yourself, so
I do coach myself. What else would I say? Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, remember too that a bad day or a bad workout is expected and it's part of the process, and it doesn't mean anything about you or your abilities. It can be really easy to get caught up in that in certain moments for sure. Like, oh, like it's really easy to beat yourself up about it. Like, oh, I should have hit that split, or oh, I should have been able to go that final couple miles and I shouldn't have, split out early. But um, when you beat yourself up about it, then like for me, that just makes me feel worse, which is
mhm.
motivating to get me out the door again. Like when
Right, yeah.
an asshole to myself, I'm not like motivated to be like, yay, can't wait to do it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. I'm just uh, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing because yeah, I do know the feeling. It's like um I almost like started laughing when my workouts don't go as planned. I'm like, okay, better luck next time, Al, because it's like it's done. What can you do? But in a weird way, it almost like makes me hungrier to go and nail the next workout, which is weird because you would think it's the flip. And a lot of people like are like you, they're like, I don't want to run anymore. And it's easy to get like I've been in that mindset too, but just uh I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It just makes me eager to kind of like just do better and be better because I think that all of us could always do that.
Yeah, and I think to get to that point, it means that you've got to approach it from the mindset of like, oh, like this happens sometimes, and that's okay. And that allows you to get, I want now you want to get after it next time. But when you like
Yeah.
beat yourself about it, that's actually motivating.
Yeah, I feel like there should be like something that says like when you bomb your first workout, laugh or just, something to like make it more relatable to like anyone because it happens all the time to all of us.
Yes. We're all
Just
gonna,
a,
I mean, we're all gonna have a bad workout or a bad day at some point. So,
yeah, but there's always a positive out of it. You're
yeah.
human, right? You're allowed to feel.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yes. So why don't we transition to this is a really good one. I don't even want to say this is just for women. It's definitely a lot heavily for women, but men too. Eating and running more. So this is like the number one question I personally get from my runners that I coach and I don't coach is can I lose weight when I'm training for a marathon? And I think you posted about this, maybe. And I guess like a question following that is, well then why do I have to eat more if I'm running more? And Jackie, do you want to maybe like say what you would say from a dietitian standpoint, and then I could, say what I would say from a coaching standpoint? Because this is like a huge one.
Yeah, it's such a big. So I'm gonna kind of focus more on like the mental health side of it, just given that's kind of like the theme. Because we could talk all about the science of like losing
No, no,
weight
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. We're on the mental health right now. Like, yeah,
but
tackling it
yeah,
from a mindset standpoint.
from a perspective, um, you know, first of all, like everyone knows you need food to live, right? And what you eat can really affect your mood and your mental health. So if you are under fueling, which can easily happen if you're running lots of miles and trying to lose weight, that is going to like essentially mean that your brain isn't getting enough energy. If you're not getting enough energy in your brain, like not only can you not focus very well, but you're a lot more irritable, you're a lot more fatigued, you can't concentrate as well. You're not going to be as like you're not going to have as much mental energy to have that presence or to have patience for your kids or be able to put in like the focus at work that the big deadline requires or whatever it is. So I guess I would say like food beyond just fuel
Hmm.
is just like vital for your overall like mental health. And that any time that you're underdoing it, then you're going to put yourself at risk to just not feel your best and not run your best. And then again, it just kind of snowballs. If you don't feel good, you're not going to run well. If you're not going to run well, you're not going to feel good. And on and on and on it goes.
Yeah, no, that's so good. I definitely think that the types of food I eat, if it's all crap, it affects my mental state, which then affects my running and my performance. And then yes, it's a snowball effect. And then that could go down a rabbit hole because then, that could lead to an injury for anybody. Just not
Yeah.
eating and hydrating and taking care of yourself. Just yeah. And mentally, that's just not fun. That could get you depressed and just in a dark place pretty quickly. Um,
Yeah.
so to be in a good headspace, food I think fuels that. And you're the expert here, but I'm pretty sure food, like, I'm just thinking of my favorite go-to meal, quinoa, spinach, or broccoli and salmon, no matter how it's cooked. That
Mm-hmm.
is just nutrients screaming at me. And, instead of like cake, cookies, candy, chips,
Yeah.
coffee. Yeah, like
Food can fuel I mean, there's so many foods that have like positive, like mental and cognitive effects, like they affect our brain health and they do affect our mood. And so focus on food that makes you feel good and is comforting. Like it doesn't have to be just, like broccoli and chicken. Like if you enjoy
Right.
broccoli, nothing wrong with broccoli and chicken. Like those can be delicious foods, but like it doesn't have to be just boring food. Like it can be something nourishing to your body and your soul. Like, it could be like a cultural food or something that brings you a lot of happy memories. Like all of those things can be healthy for your body and your mind. So, and that food is different,
Yes.
you know.
What's your
So,
go-to food for that? Like your, I don't want to say guilty pleasure, but that meal.
mm, I mean, tacos are my favorite food. So when I have like a really, really good taco, especially if I like make it myself, like last week we made these pickled red onions and um, some feta cheese, and I love a little bit of salsa. Tacos are one of them, but I also really enjoy like a power bowl, kind of like what you just described, like some sort of hearty grain and a bunch of like roasted vegetables. I love vegetables once they've been roasted. Um, like maybe a poached egg that's a little bit runny and like some sauce. Oh,
Yum.
like so
Yum.
comforting with all these different textures and flavors and delicious.
That sounds so good. Wow. Yum.
Yeah. And it just makes you feel good too that you're doing something good for your body. I think
Yes.
remember, hard thing for people to remember is that they're struggling with eating or eating enough or eating more, is that you eating foods like that, even if they do have more calories or they're a little bit more calorie dense, like they can have so much nutrients and they're doing so much good for your body. Like every food is going to have some sort of benefit to you, it's going to provide some sort of nutrition. Like focus on the things that you can add that make you feel good instead of focusing on things that you can't have or shouldn't eat. Like let's bring more of like an abundant mindset to food rather than like a really restrictive one.
Yes. And you need to eat to run.
Yes. And
Yes. What?
and to live.
Yes, but like, even more so, I know you know this. I listen, the Kenyans, they are outliers because they run, their bodies are fat adapted and just it's because where they live. They're outliers. However, everyone else, most people like that are on here, yes, Tom, I see you're on here. Yeah, everybody. We need carbs and protein. We need that to push our hard workouts, interval workouts, half marathons, tempo runs. Uh, Do you feel differently when you go into a workout having not really fueled with nutrients versus, fueling with nutrients? And I'm not talking about from like a science standpoint. I'm talking about like mentally, like does that affect your mental state?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I believe it does. Like first of
And
all,
like I guess like how?
well, I have like confidence that I've done things in my power to show up as my best self, right?
Yes.
Like not
Yes.
everything is power, right? Like sometimes you don't get enough sleep because, the neighbor is making a bunch of noise, or if you have kids, or and they were up, or your partner is snoring, or I don't know, like could be anything. Like sometimes sleep isn't fully in our control, we can't control the weather to some extent. We can control stress, but we also can't. Like there's a lot of stressful factors in our lives and a lot of them are outside of our control. But if you go into a workout, like if you fueled right, like you can at least have that confidence that you did something in your control to like make sure you showed up as your best self that day. That might be different from day to day or week to week or whatever, but you still did everything in your power to be the best version of yourself. And I think that you can get a lot of confidence from that.
I think that's really important. And I think that's a great point because talk about good mindset. What's better than being confident and going into a workout regardless of the outcome?
Right, right. Like, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to do the best that we can. We can't control everything, but when you do put that effort to control the things you can, it just
Right.
helps a lot. Would you agree?
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love it. I love that you're like confident. It just makes me feel confident because you know that you just did everything you could and set yourself up for success in the best way
Yeah.
you could, regardless of anything else happening that you can't control in that situation. And just like
Hmm.
doing that in the present moment, like what does my body need to set myself up to be in the mindset to feel confident going into this, and how is that going to carry on to the rest of my day, work, life, my my partner, kids, if you have kids, everything.
Well, literally everything. I often ask people that, like, if they're considering working with me, I'm like, how do you think this is going to show up in other areas of your life? And I try to challenge them to think about it. And then when they do, they're like, oh, I might have more focus at work. Oh, like, I'm going to be a better role model for my kids. Oh, like, my partner will actually end up eating healthier as well. Like, it just, it affects every area of your life.
It does. It does. Wait, I like Deborah's question. So fueling wrong um, and continued exercise can deplete you and not at your best training until your body catches up. I live that lifestyle. Jackie taught me a lot. I'm fueling correctly. Well, Jackie, good job on that. Deborah, I've lived that as well, and that is very not fun. I hope that you do not get injured in that process. Food is fuel. Um, I'm happy to talk about this if Jackie, if you kind of want to talk about, since you gave a personal example, I'm happy to talk about a personal example, for this.
Sure.
For me years ago, it's still, uncomfortable for me to talk about, but we're all humans on here. And so, yeah, I want to say this was 5 years ago at this point. I was running and okay with the fact that I wasn't fueling. And granted, I was in my 20s, my body bounced back a little bit better than now. I'm 32, so hopefully not that old, but yeah, I just never fueled properly. And I thought I could just get away with, eating the bare minimum. And, to me, skinny was better because I had to push less weight when I would run. And mentally, that was just messed up in my mind because, there was no one really to pull me out of that. I didn't have a coach at the time. It actually just really was, it, it just, it made me so upset when I got injured eventually after going through this virtual cycle of like not eating properly and getting such little sleep and running until I couldn't sometimes. Like honestly, yeah, and I got injured and I got my favorite thing taken from me, and it was just so hard to mentally battle.
Yeah.
Um, which is why I went into coaching, because I wanted to help others and provide guidance to prevent others from getting there. Hopefully, obviously things happen, but you
Yeah.
know it took me a while to understand what food really does mentally and physically.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I mean, everyone goes through something. Like, I work with a lot of people on food stuff over the years, right? I've never met someone who doesn't have some sort of like mental experience with food that affected them in some negative way. Some people more extreme than others. I mean, and I'm not trying to exclude myself from this. I'm human. I'm right there. I'm like a woman in society. Like there are expectations of what we're supposed to look like and what we're supposed to eat. So I guess thank you. First of all, thank you for sharing with everyone. And if you're watching and you're relating to this, just know that you're not alone. And I wish it wasn't so normal.
I know, same. I truly do, because a lot more people will be running sub 3 marathons. I'm
right?
sure. I am sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I mean,
sub 4 marathons, I'm just, you can't mentally, it's so hard to get over, I think, as a female, the fact that you need to just eat a lot more to accommodate your training, but like you have to do it. It's just a part of the training to think of it that way, like to mentally program that in your mind has been a game changer for me. It's how I advise a lot of my female clients that, talk to me about the nutrition aspect of marathon training specifically, and to just think of it, it's a part of your training. You have to do it because if you're going for a time goal, you don't have an option.
you don't. And another thing too that I kind of bring up that what you said made me think of this is that the diet culture that we live in, and it's everywhere around us, makes it seem like 1,200 calories, 1,400 calories, maybe even 1,600 calories is enough or even too much. And so
Who
when
came
people
who came up with that number? Like honestly, the CDC, like
like it's a yes, you're like 1,200 calories is how much a toddler needs. Like I have a niece who's 2, like that's her needs. Like no, and you are
wow,
a grown
yes.
adult and you're running miles a week. Like you need way more than 1,200 calories. Where did this number come from? It's ridiculous. So people would be like, well, I'm eating like 1,900 calories. Like, why am I not losing? I'm like, it's still not enough. Like, but it's foreign to people because like we've been grilled that like this is what we need, but that's not the case at all. So like people are shocked to find out that they need oftentimes much, much more than what they think that they need. Um,
Yeah, like it's like I've had someone say, like, use my fitness pal and say, what, like 2,500 calories? I'm not eating that. And I'm like, but based on what you're doing and what your body needs and how you feel and what you're mentally doing, like just either like acting out, acting crazy, or just, being complacent and like good and grounded. I mean, it's these things all play a role and a factor. It's 1,200 calories will get you through a quarter of the day.
right. Debbie says she used to eat for weight versus properly fueling for all her fitness levels. Yeah. So, I mean, and I would say that kind of brings up a good point is that sometimes we eat for, specifically for weight loss, and sometimes we eat more for fueling and performance. And I would say most of the time you kind of have to like choose what you're one or the other. Like, can you lose weight while training for a marathon? Sure, but um, it's possible, but like don't expect to have like the greatest race ever, right? Like most of the time, if your focus is on weight loss, then like performance is going to come second. And if your focus is performance, then weight loss is either something that's going to come later. It's just a secondary thing. Like unfortunately, we want to many people want to prioritize them both at number one, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yes. But, usually if you are running a marathon for the first time or training for one for the first time and you've never put your body through anything like that before, first of all, mentally, it's going to change your life. And to
Mm-hmm.
mentally be okay and learn how to love food and have a healthy relationship with it will only benefit you, especially when you catch the bug and want to keep doing more marathons.
Yeah.
I truly think that a fitness program should be paired with like the must like haves in nutrition, especially like at a certain mileage or a certain volume. Like that would just be helpful to have, obviously on an individual basis, but yeah, the two go together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think having a good relationship with food is going to help you throughout your whole life. It's going to help your running and how you approach it. It's going to help your eating and how you approach eating. It's going to affect everything in your life. If you don't have a great relationship with food and eating, you're much more likely to be stressed and anxious and depressed, and it affects social situations. How are you supposed to like go out and enjoy like a dinner with a friend or go on a date or like go to a holiday meal, like all of these, a birthday, like it affects it. all the time.
I was just thinking, yeah, I was just thinking about a date I went on with my boyfriend. He was just, it was the opposite problem. I
Oh,
was like, I don't know if you've gotten this and it's a good thing, but he's like, are you really, wow, like you're really hungry. I was like, I need this fuel. I need all of this. Judge me. But like, that was all like, we were kidding. But, it's true. If you go out to eat with other runners, like it's better to be okay with just like eating a lot and just being in the same boat together rather than just like having to battle mentally, not feeling comfortable to eat at all. And there are people to help you get through that, like Jackie and myself.
yeah, absolutely. We are here to help you get through all of that, not just the food, not just the training, but the mental aspects of that as well. Because, I mean, as we've been talking about for the last 40 minutes, like it affects so much of how you show up and your life.
Yeah, and Deborah, I love the questions. Keep them coming. Too bad the health industry and doctors and fitness industry are not on the same page. I don't think they ever will be.
I know.
It's too bad. Yeah,
It's bad. Yeah.
yeah,
I will say
um,
you find good and bad in all the industries, right? You can find great doctors
yeah.
supportive, you can find great fitness professionals who are supportive, and you can probably find some really bad of both of them.
Y- yes, that's a whole other topic. But I've had a doctor say to me before, you can't run marathons, and mentally that just put me in a really just I was not happy at that comment. And then, I went to a coach and they said, well, what are you doing that is that is like, you know, I guess, why is the orthopedic surgeon saying that? Like, what are you doing that he's saying that? And that it's just, I guess, a way of communicating with certain runners or just, yeah, how different professionals kind of like handle that communication and actually care, I want to say, and find ways to work with someone to make their goals happen and actually attainable.
Yeah. And when you find someone like that that is supportive and helps you actually achieve those goals, like hold on to them. Like they can obviously be hard to find, which is unfortunate.
I know. But, that's what makes everyone special because everyone has something unique to offer.
Yes, absolutely.
Not to get too sidetracked, but yeah.
Um, well, I don't know. Is there anything that you add to like the mental health and training aspects that we haven't touched on, or um, you want to just tell people where to find you?
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. The mental health and just what I would add is just if you don't feel right, like the biggest takeaway I hope you guys leave with is if you don't feel right and something's off, obviously it's like something's triggering you to be upset, go back to your journal or kind of like trace your steps and figure out what's making you feel that way, especially if it's repetitive and it's just a continuous pattern because you want to break that before it's too late.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
I would add to that, like, find yourself a trusted person, a coach, a dietitian, a therapist, a friend, even a doctor, whatever it is that can help you get through that. Because when we're in our own minds, we can't really see, like, we can't see other alternatives. And someone outside of you can maybe help offer like a different perspective or help you shift your focus. Um, or show you your blind spots because we all have blind spots, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
we all got to have a crew.
Yes. Yes. And, just ask questions, reach out. Yeah. Um, I don't know what I'd do without my coach. And, I really love just runners and the running community. Of course, there's other things outside of life, but it's just so nice to have something so common and relatable that, everyone's heard about these topics. And to whatever extreme, there's always different conversations being had. And I just find that interesting too.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you could find me, guys. I'm on Run with Allie. My email is in the link in my bio. I will never tell anybody to do a marathon. However, I predominantly coach marathon runners, like I said. So people come to me and ask to do one. But yes, would I suggest a half? Sure. But a marathon's not for everyone. And I just, yeah, I would never say, you need to do a marathon now. I wouldn't do that. So, yeah, you know where to find me. And I think I also introduced myself at the beginning of this chat, but there it is again.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this with me, Allie. This was fun as always, and I love this topic. I love tackling it from a slightly different angle.
Yes, loved it. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Send if you have more questions or comments, you know where to find us. Hit us up in the DMs. We're happy to chat with all of you. You can find all of our info at both of our LinkedIn bios. So we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.